Welcome to FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast series. Here we talk about all things franchising. What is it all about? Is it for you? How do you find the best one to own? And so much more. Now your host, Tim Parmeter.
Hello, everyone, and thanks again for tuning in to the latest edition of FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of FranCoach and your Franchising 101 host. Today, I'm excited to have a guest join us today, and they're going to talk about not a franchise, but their basically kind of parent company that has 6 amazing franchise brands. We're going to get a chance to go over each of those a little bit, but also learn about how a big organization can help you succeed as a franchise owner. Before we get to this amazing franchise opportunity, quick reminder of who we are. FranCoach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals interested in owning a franchise. We are partnered with over 600 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning nearly 70 industries. Our goal is to help clients find the absolute best franchise for them to own. And the goal of the Franchising 101 podcast, as always, is to help educate people on all aspects of franchise ownership. All right, so that's us. Now let's get you the good stuff. And our guest today has been in franchising for a long time and is now currently the chairman and CEO of Homefront Brands, Mr. Jeff Dudan. Jeff, thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Tim, I'm excited to be on and really have appreciated what you've done. We've worked together over the years, and you provide a valuable service for people who are really looking to get informed and educated about what might be next from them. And you do it with a lot of integrity. So I'm excited to be here with you today.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. Well, good. Tell us a little. We've got Homefront Brands. We've got 6 different franchises and probably a lot more to even talk about within there. But this is, I think, more than anything, a people business. And I always like hearing stories of how did people get into this crazy world that is franchising. So give us a little scoop on Jeff and how you got into all of this.
Sure. So real quickly, I grew up in Chicago and I came out to North Carolina to actually Appalachian State on a football scholarship back in 1989 and really had a problem to solve, which is what franchising is all about. People have a problem to solve. My problem to solve is that I wanted to stay over the summer. The football scholarship didn't cover it. I had worked the trades in Chicago, so I ended up starting a painting business, which college painting is a big thing. And I started the painting business with my roommate. And we ultimately won the contracts to paint student housing apartments. So we put together a crew over the summer of athletes that were there taking classes. And we would do 15 to 20 apartments in a day during their lease change time. So made a lot of money doing it and found, really that kind of scratched or unearthed an entrepreneurial bent for me. And from there, Hurricane Andrew hit South Florida, and someone who had painted for me called me and said, "We've got all this work down here in South Florida." So my partner and I went down there, cut our teeth in the insurance restoration business, helping the people of South Florida recover from Hurricane Andrew. Moved up to Central Florida with 3 partners to start a business in 94, and then in 95, moved back up to Charlotte, North Carolina to start our second location. Over the next 10 years, we became a national and international restoration company doing mold remediation, water damage, duct cleaning, things like that. We called it Light Environmental Services, and ultimately bought my last partner out in 2004 and brought in some consultants and really focused the business on 2 things. Number one, our direct business, disaster response. What could we do we had developed a strong government competency, so VA hospitals, military bases, also then regular medical facilities, institutions, and universities. And then we had businesses in Central Florida and North and South Carolina doing residential services. Hurricane Katrina hit in 2005, and we went down there and set up a 4-year storm response, doing a lot of big things. And then as I was driving back in 2005, I realized we were doing projects in Hawaii and Canada and the Caribbean, and I was out of town the whole time. I had 3 young children at the time, and I made a decision that I really wanted to create a life had some freedom in it. The economics were fine. We were making a lot of money, and the business was serving our family very well. But I really didn't have the life that I wanted, and business ownership should provide for people a life that they aspire to have, that fits for them, that fits within their values. So I decided at that point in 2005 to sell all of our company stores under a franchise model, which we had been working on. So I did that in 2006, 7, and 8. In 2009, I launched to the world public with our franchise offering, and I sold the business some 9 years later with 240 locations in 37 states to Franchise Concepts, the parent company of Budget Blinds. And it was great. And I had owned the business for 24 years and 11 months. And I was done. We had a president and we had a chief financial officer. So they went with the business, and I was sitting there trying to figure out what to do next at that point.
Which is kind of crazy, right? Then you're like probably a lot of the people that we talk to is you're in that life change. What's next? But like most people, once you get into franchising, you don't get out. So there's the pivot. How did you get yourself to Homefront Brands and talk a little bit about what Homefront is all about?
So Tim, when I look at inflection points, such as that drive in the middle of the night, coming home and deciding to sell all of our company stores, I really have come to understand that there's three things that are always around these decision points where many of your people you work with are right there. Number one, there's people involved, people they care about, people they're responsible to take care of. There's people that they want to be in business with, or people that they admire that have freedom through and flexibility through franchising or business ownership. And then there's an opportunity or an adventure. There's something to gain inside of it. And then there's always a risk of loss, something to give up. And what I found in my life is when I come to these inflection points, I've learned to recognize and to step back and be very extrospective about the decision that I'm getting ready to make and understand what's the potential gain, who's going to be around the table, who's going to be in the boat with me, that I'm going to include and that I'm going to care about, and that we're going to make some sort of commitments to one another. And then the last thing is, what am I giving up? I'm on a current path. It's working just fine. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's a salary, but what I can give up. So after I sold the business, I really took an opportunity to do a lot of consulting, to get involved in some things around the franchise industry, also outside of the franchise industry, making some investments in different businesses with different family offices, and even took a quick run at some politics and ambassadorship for U.S. ambassadorship, a small process there. So trying to decide, I was 50, what's next for me? And the optionality, after you sell a business, and if it's been good for you, you're out of debt, you've got some resources and you have some time. Like, what do you do? So I got involved in some franchise service organizations, also invested in acquired or invested in some other franchise brands. Get an opportunity to help some emerging brands and to really speak into their life and, help understand what responsible franchising was. And that 2 years and looking at all the different spaces, our family said, we asked ourselves a question: if we could build the most responsible franchise platform that we could possibly imagine, and taking the benefit of, my involvement with who was the CEO of, whether it's Authority Brands or different companies in all of franchising that have done certain aspects of it well. There was about 7 things that different companies did exceptionally well that led to their success and led to their franchisee satisfaction. And when I say their success, their franchisees did well. They built big businesses. They had good continuity, stability. People stayed in for a long time, put these businesses in their estates, made them family businesses. So we really said, if we were going to build something, first of all, what space would we do it in? And we knew that property services, because it's one of the most durable sectors that exists for 3 or 4 different key reasons. And then from a people perspective, who would we need to build businesses that are bigger than businesses that we had ever built, businesses that we had ever run, that knew what it looked like at $1 billion with 6 or 8 brands? What were the qualifications of the brands that we would need? They needed to be brands that had average unit volumes were up into the millions. And we needed to have, they needed to be conforming in terms of the numbers. You want to have businesses that the normal person on an average day can operate that business. So you don't need to put people in jet airplanes and make businesses that are so complicated. They need to be businesses that most people are going to be able to, if they follow the plan, execute. Territory model. We only have 600 to 800 territories. It's creating kind of a high demand for Homefront brand businesses because we didn't map the whole country out because the whole country doesn't have good territories in it. We wanted to make sure that we spent the money and the data to understand who the customer set was and build an addressable market into each territory. So a franchise owner after a year wouldn't come back and say, it's not working. And then when we did the analysis after we gave the guy the territory, that said, well, there's no reason because there's not enough customers here for you. That would be irresponsible. Right. So we spent the time, energy, and money. Customer acquisition, driving leads and standing up a call center. We actually did a little staff acquisition of a call center that was in one of the brands that we acquired. We acquired 5 brands or 6 brands. We acquired 5 and we stood one up de novo ourselves. One of the brands had a call center, so we've taken that, used that as the basis. We've augmented it and added to it and upgraded it. And now we're adding people to it and rolled it out to the other brands. So customer acquisition, and then learning management, which is something that many single brands or emerging brands, it's very expensive to do learning management, but we hired an executive from a 5,000 seat organization who led sales training and learning management. And he's just spent almost a year now building really a state-of-the-art learning management system, so much so that some of the training in our brands is down from 5 days or 7 days down to 2.5 days in person, just the things they need to know. So all of these things that we said, we're going to be, if we were going to have the things that a Dunkin' Brands or a Rourke type led company, if we were going to have all of those things and we were going to pay for them before we even started selling franchises so that the house was built and when people came into it, so that franchisees could build bigger businesses and we would never be the constraint to their growth, having to change a platform or do something like that. So that was our thesis, what we set out to do. And we went for it and we went out and acquired these companies over an 8-month period. And we spent all of 2022 building the house and putting the team together. And we've gone from 9 people last July to almost 60 today. Marketing, operations people, and some of the best talent in the industry, really. People that have run marketing for Pods or Hertz Corporation, been C-level executives at companies like ServiceMaster or the Placemakers, the Home Depot of Australia. So many of our executive team have multi-billion-dollar, multi-brand platform experience, and which I don't. And so the way that informs the decisions that we make. And then the other thing that we decided was that we were going to fund this ourselves, so that we could make decisions that were in the long-term best interest of the franchisee, as opposed to, hey, our fund is up in 2 years. We've got to cut costs and services because we've got to turn this business in 2 years. We're building a business that we aspire is going to be here in 100 years. And we're looking at it, where do we want to be in 10 years? So that's kind of the approach we took. And that's what Homefront Brands is today.
Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about our amazing friends at Entrepreneur. If you're looking to become a franchisee or simply learn more about business ownership, and guys, let's be honest, you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast, so we know you have some interest in this. And I really encourage you to go to entrepreneur.com to check out all of their great content and resources. Seriously, Entrepreneur has everything, all the way from a bookstore to the best podcasts, webinars, and videos, plus information on upcoming events and the latest articles that seriously, they cover all aspects of franchising and business ownership. If you're having trouble deciding which franchise is right for you, start with Entrepreneur's renowned Franchise 500 ranking, which highlights the best franchises of 2022. For 45 years and counting now, Entrepreneur has been and continues to be the most widely recognized and respected authority in the franchise market. Digital and print subscriptions are available, so you never miss out on anything. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go to entrepreneur.com right now and learn more. I think it tends to amaze people as they get into looking at franchises. It's like, yeah, I know there's a plan or you're going to help me a little bit. But when they get into actually understanding how much goes into the plan and how much support, it's borderline overwhelming. And I think in a good way of like, oh my gosh, it is really, when you find the right fit, it is really just as simple as put forth the effort and follow the plan. And because especially for you guys, there's so much support and so much that goes into that. So I'm glad you kind of talk through some of that, and definitely want to even hit on a few of those support points here in a minute. But give us a quick scoop on maybe I'd love to have some of your individual people with the franchises come back on and talk about them specifically. But what are the brands within Homefront?
So the first brand that we went out and got was a brand called Window Hero. We did have to do a rebrand on it, but it is an exterior power washing business. It's a window cleaning business, and it's gutter guards and gutter replacement. Our top franchisee does over $2 million. Top 50% of the network does over $1 million with a very, very healthy bottom line. You can see that in the item 19. And of course, as you know, and you coach everybody, the only numbers that matter are the ones that are in the item 19. And that's what people need to look at and rely upon. So, but again, highly conforming brand. If you look at competitors to us, our numbers are more than double. And I think it's because that business really is set up with the equipment to really be able to do out of the back of a pickup truck, the power washing. We have a big sled that goes in there with all the equipment on there that you need to do a lot of surface area and a lot of cleaning. And also we don't complicate the model with a bunch of things to say, oh, you can do this too, which a lot of these window and house washing businesses, they do all kinds of crazy stuff, and there'll be like 9 things on the website. And I watch a lot of stand-up comedy, man. So Jerry Seinfeld said something on his coffee, comedians, in cars getting coffee show. He said, our lack of focus in this country is leading to a lack of greatness. And you really need to stay focused on the things that are the drivers of your business. So, KPIs are great, but you don't need 50 of them, and you don't need 50 lines of business and things like that. To build a powerful business. So that's Window Hero, and very exciting growth. We got, we have a good handful of people every month that are joining that brand and getting started inside of it. The next one that we did was something called Temporary Wall Systems, which is the first of its type. I mean, we are, it is exactly what it sounds like. We put up temporary, high quality containment walls in medical facilities, hospitals, strip malls, anywhere construction is going on. So it competes with people that are framing walls and doing drywall and painting. It takes them 3 days to do that, where we can go in 2 hours and set up these containment walls. They're modular, they're movable, they're secure, they're heavy duty. And they look good. So we went out and got that business, and it's really the first of its type, and it's got the best name in the industry. And so we're relatively first to market. We are first to market as a franchise concept, but the business model, there are these are things that people do. So, it's just a matter of our franchise owners getting out there and getting their elbows sharp and establishing dominance in all of these markets, being first to market. So a lot of people joining that concept really fast. Again, really strong top line and super strong bottom line on it, because it's a rental model. And so it's very low staffing. You go out and, you install these things, and then they're going to stay on the job for many, many months. The third business was something called the Designery, which is extremely cool. I'm not sure it's not going to be our biggest brand, but think about a 800 square foot to 1,200 square foot Apple store. But this Apple store look and feel has cabinet doors and knobs and all of that stuff on the walls. And it's a very sleek design table with large screens and monitors in it. And we are rolling out teledesign for that. So we'll have designers all over the world that after an initial appointment, you get the measurements from people, they can continue on to refine their design process from home, doing virtual design with a virtual designer, which is extremely cool. And again, it's a subcontractor model. There's no inventory. We have a centralized facility in the middle of the country that takes the orders, assembles the cabinets, and ships them assembled directly to the job. So again, very low employee count, very, very low inventory model. Yes, it's a retail location, but it's not Class A space. It's more like Class B or C space. It's a destination. If you can get next to a highway and get a big sign out there, we like that. So people, can see what that is. Oh, the Designery, that's very cool. So that's that brand. And then really, probably our one of our top runners right now is something called Top Rail Fence. So it's a fencing model, all different ornamental fence, wood fence, plastic fence, all of that stuff is set up. It's a subcontractor model. So you use subcontractors to do the installations. And, we direct ship or drop ship the materials directly to the franchisees on a just in time basis. So again, that's one that a lot of people are looking at right now. I would say top rail fence and temporary wall systems for us, if you're interested, and that sounds interesting, probably going to be sold out in all major markets in 12 to 18 months. We're moving that fast. I mean, we had, our last Meet the Team Day dinner, we had 80 people. I mean, it's ridiculous. Usually a good moving property service brand is going to do a deal and a half to 2 deals a month, maybe. And, 20 placements a year. And I mean, we're doing that and a little bit more every month now inside of our brand. So, when people get inside the Homefront and they see what, the message is and that we're a family business and, what the problems we set out to solve and the change that we aspire to make in the world, it's something that people want to be a part of. And we're very proud and excited, that those brands are moving so well.
Nice. And I love you talked about the simplicity of kind of when you're finding the brands, right? This isn't rocket science, right? It's things that are simple. They're simple services. They're simple to learn. You can come in, and this with a lot of franchises, you don't need 20 years experience of being in the fence industry to own Top Rail, right? But it's simple. It's easy to learn, especially with all the support that you guys have. Right. And it's also crazy. Some of the things in that home service stuff, they're not always the sexiest things in the world, but you're like, when you really start paying attention, it is everywhere. It's funny. This is like the third time fencing has come up this week for me, just separately. My first job out of college, believe it or not, was with a fence company, because one of my best friends from college worked at a fence company. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So, and really ever since then, and that's been years ago, I still see fence everywhere. Right. And you're like, oh my gosh, how much did they just spend on that wherever it is? Even my house in Arizona, I know how much that was for my house, and it was no joke. Right. So it is crazy where that is everywhere. So super cool. When you think of some of the things support standpoint, you mentioned call center earlier, and this is stuck in my head from literally a conversation I had with one of our clients earlier today, how important that call center is and being able to just simply beat the competition because you answer the dang phone, right? And it's done quickly, properly. Just maybe expand on that a little bit more and how that is really benefiting your franchise owners for all of the marketing you're doing, making the phone ring, that's done, and how that really helps your owner.
Oh, sure. So Advanaclean was the company that I built and sold, and we had 16 full-time equivalents that answered 250,000 inbound customer phone calls, and we scheduled every mold appointment. We quoted every residential duct cleaning job, dispatched every water damage job. We would also do outbound for franchise launches. So we had a 90-day sprint, which was, these are all the people you need to know to be successful. So we would, during training, be calling outbound to set appointments for our franchisees who could, then go see these people. And of course, they had a playbook with what's in it for them and what do you need to say. And we role played that. So, very comprehensive and aligned onboarding and launch process there. And the call center is certainly a part of that. But I think a couple of things. So we're big blue ocean strategist people. If people have turned strategy before, blue ocean strategy is really kind of preeminent work. It's aged well. It's from the 90s. They've updated it once, but it was basically the same thing. I highly recommend it as a read. And we replaced over 300 to 400, maybe more operators out in the franchise system with the 16 full-time equivalents. So think about the efficiency of that. A franchisee doesn't have to hire somebody to answer the phone, hire somebody to answer it when they're not there, put them in an office, buy a phone system, do the management, do the training, do the oversight, do the replacements when people leave. So, centralizing that as a service just provides such a lift for the franchisees so that they can do the things that they need to do. They need to go out and do this 90-day sprint, and they need to get deep into the community in which they're going to operate and all the people that matter to refer them business and refer back. They need to build a great team. They need to build an intentional culture. first 2 hours of training I personally do with every franchisee and teach them, how to build an intentional culture and how they're going to build their team and how they can use our values as a real tool. Take them and use those as action things. And then they need to go out and be great, have a great sales team and close jobs. And they need to fulfill work and collect money. And like at the end of the day, like that's what they need to do. So anything that can be centralized should be centralized. And the call center, it's just, 99% of the calls, we aspire to have answered in 2 rings or less. The data gets set up right away. And you can't optimize anything until you get volume running through it. So so you can continually get smarter by tying in all the technologies to that are attached to that customer and dropping those into a data lake, and then it just creates so much lift and so much consistency for the franchisee. It's something that they just never have to worry about, and it's really a powerful, done well. It is a powerful part to a really continuous improvement, fast growing organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And every now and then we'll talk to people like, oh, why do I need the call center? I'm like, are you going to answer the phone, or are you going to hire somebody as good and as qualified to be able to do that? And the biggest differentiator in getting that business is oftentimes just answer the phone, because Billy Bob and his pressure washer, Billy Bob ain't answering the phone, right? And so again, it's going to get you that business. Talk a little bit about are there any kind of consistent owner traits that you look for across your brand? And I think the one thing that is sometimes a myth is, well, I don't know how to install a fence. I don't know how to pressure wash, or I don't want to do that. Talk a little bit about what you really want them to be able to do day in, day out.
Yeah. So there's some soft skills and there's some hard skills, right? So one of the contracts I make with people before we let them join is the fact that we will have intellectual humility on both sides of the table, and that we will always resolve conflicts in a healthy manner. Meaning, you pick up the phone, right? If there's something from your perception that you're not happy with, or that's not going right, or you're struggling with your salespeople, you could be going through a divorce. I mean, anything could be happening that is affecting your ability to execute, because life happens, by the way, to all of us. Yeah. And there's seasons of life where it's better for us or it's worse for us. But if we don't know, we can't help you. So, and then, so anything that looks like a conflict, we teach them 3 words: rush to conflict. Meaning if you're conflicted about something, pick up the phone, have a conversation, and then let's work on that resolution right now. Because my observation of the best business owners are the ones that, they understand that they're joining part of a community when they join a franchise. They're interested in getting awards at conference. They're interested in being on panels. They're interested in talking with newer franchisees who are behind them and helping them. They're really got this 360 view of high engagement. So high engaged, intellectually humble people that are conflict resolvers. That's kind of the stuff that makes it just, you just don't get hung up on stuff that, doesn't need to get in the way of your business, right? You get untangled from it. On the harder side of it, look, you've got people that do the people piece well, meaning build a team, can follow the playbook that I give them in training to create a bold and powerful future and to speak it into existence on a regular basis, to use your values, to be a values forward organization, to connect what your company is doing in the local market with what matters to the community and to the people there, and to do that people piece well. And get people in the organization and give them a path to progress in their income and their responsibility, and make sure that everybody that joins your team is going to be better when they leave than when they came in. And if you do that, and then you have a goal orientation where you will, follow, where you will not ignore numbers. Great managers use numbers, mediocre managers use words. So you got to lead. So they have to have a kind of a goal orientation to say, right. And not only the what, but, time-based metrics by when. We want to make, this many sales calls or get this many estimates out by Friday or whenever it is. So, right. So that combination of kind of leadership and team building, along with a goal orientation that says, hey man, these are the few things that matter in this business, and I'm going to continually focus my team on those types of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And at no point in there in those things did you say pressure wash or like install a fence or any
nothing to do
things,
with it,
right? So
nothing. Yeah, I've never cleaned an air duct in my life.
No, it's so true. And so I love that kind of that distinction. And again, it's people, right? If you can build those relationships in the community with your team, even within a franchise organization, some of your best resources really should be other franchise owners, right? You're the ones that are going through those things. And I love that you guys have that really kind of open, collaborative mentality of things. So
innovation, from the top down is orderly, but can be very dumb. Innovation from the outside in or the bottom up, if you even want to say it that way, can be very chaotic and more difficult to manage, but that's where the brilliance comes from. And so we net promoter score our franchisees every month. Most organizations survey once a year. We survey them coming out of training to get a baseline for where they are. And then we survey them every month, and we demand that they take 5 minutes to beat us up in any way that they seem fit. And we promise them that, that we want the feedback. And that's another contract I make with them, is that you will take time to everything that you think we need to understand to help improve your experience and the experience of this business. Is we want to know it every month, because it helps us focus on things that we need to focus on in the business. So, that's critically important for us, that we have a regular, feedback is the breakfast of champions, and we want to eat it every day.
Absolutely. No, I love it. Jeff, I love all the information that you've given us so far, and I know we could go take deep dives, and I'd love to on the individual brands, maybe another time. But one last thing, because I know you're super busy. If there was one other thing that you wanted us to really know about Homefront Brands, I know it's kind of a loaded question, right? But what would be one more thing that you really want to share with us today?
We have a dynasty program. So there's an opportunity in the market for high net worth individuals to come into the Homefront and to leverage the work that we've done by migrating all of our brands onto the same technology platform, by putting a world-class executive team in place, by onboarding brands that are have the top and the bottom line that sophisticated business owners are looking for, creating a territory model that is rich for people to come into and to understand like where the customers are and who they are. That's an opportunity where sophisticated people that want to build bigger businesses, there's not another opportunity, in my opinion, in the marketplace where they can come in, and when they fully understand that and what our dynasty program looks like, because we have three of our original Window Hero cohort of original franchisees have already acquired other brands, and they are doing well with it's happening. So for people that are, saying, well, I might not want to be in a service business. Why would I do it? Well, building a large franchisee organization today, there is a marketplace for that didn't exist maybe 10 years ago with private equity, and people are having outcomes now. So part of what we did was we built this for you. That's who we built this. And we love our single unit operators, and they contribute and they can be a part of it, but maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, they're like, I've got this, I'm doing great. What can I add now? And we have things that they can add right on top of their business with a very, very, near zero learning curve, and they can build bigger businesses. And we're going to keep creating opportunities for our dynasty builders, because that's we aspire for people to do well. And we aspire for them to start well and to go well and then to finish impeccably.
I love it. Now, and I think most people realize I can grow and scale my business with multiple territories or multiple locations. It's that multiple brand thing that sometimes, I mean, that's really that kind of that true empire builder, right? And to be able to do it all under the same system, right? I don't have to go learn a new system or people or culture or all of this. It's really a fantastic opportunity for people. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think it's kind of a hidden way for people to really grow in franchising.
It is, and it's the only way you can do it is if you do it before you ever get started. Because if you try to do it later, you don't have the fundamentals of the business that allow for it to happen. So because we were intentional about it, we made sure that the conditions were right for those types of people to do that. Yeah,
no, that's awesome. Good deal. Jeff, thank you so much, man, for coming on and chatting with us today and telling us all about Homefront Brands. I greatly appreciate it.
It's been an honor, Tim. Thank you.
My pleasure. And then let's get, I want to get with you and get some of your team members to come on about some of these individual brands here over the next few months as well. So you're not off the hook with Franchising 101, my friend. We're going to get you guys back. So thank you for that. And as always, thanks to our loyal listeners for tuning in. Reach out to us, FranCoach.net, franchising101podcast.net. Let us help you create your better tomorrow. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll talk with you next week.
Thanks for listening to FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast, where our ultimate goal is to help educate you on all things franchising so you can create your better tomorrow.